microphone. Okay, that sounds a lot better, doesn't it? Okay, need to check something else out now. We'll be starting very soon. Bear with me for a few minutes. Okay, I think we're good to go. Getting checklists in place. Let's get the camera spun round. Let's go and check the control configuration in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And yes, we have the PMDG 737 control configuration. So we're looking good so far. Let's just check the volume levels on the microphone is looking good. Put it a bit closer to me maybe, so you get me a bit louder. You can hear things going on around Melbourne International Airfield behind me. International Airport, I should say, not airfield. Okay. It's nice and quiet inside the aeroplane, isn't it? So the first thing we're going to do, and do things slightly out of order, is we're going to hold the menu button down, which lets us straight into the FMC. FS Actions, Ground Services, we're going to request ground power to be connected. If we look outside, we can now see the cart is there. And there goes the cable to the aeroplane. So in a few moments we should get ground power connected. G'day, Johan. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. Ground power is now connected, so up overhead we turn the batteries on. We go way overhead and turn on the inertial navigation system. We can go to ground power immediately. And okay, so we've got ground power, we've got the batteries on, we've got the IRS or initial navigation system is aligning as we speak. So emergency lights to armed. Window heats to on. Probe heats to on. I'm working through a checklist in front of me. It's available at Virtual Flight Online. So, prepare flight plan, control 3 down to the FMC, the flight management computer. So here we go. Position initialization, we go to the next page, we pick up the GPS from the left system, we go to the previous page and we key that into the set IRS, and that's done. And if we go and look on the flight plan here, let's make room for it. We're taking off from Melbourne International this morning, YMML. So Yankee Mike Lima goes into the reference airport, and then we go over to the route page and we key it again, Yankee Mike Lima from Melbourne International. We are flying to Adelaide International, Yankee Papa Alpha Delta. Yankee Papa Alpha Delta. And that goes in our destination. From Melbourne we will be taking off runway 27. So we put in 27 on the runway. And then we go to the departure arrival page, and from Melbourne we are going to be taking off runway 27. We are doing the Nevis 7 standard instrument departure, which is here. So we've chosen both the runway and the SID. So we go to route, activate, execute. We can go and program the rest straight away. So we are going to arrive into Adelaide, runway 23, following the ILS and Black 3A So ILSZ 23 and black 3A, and execute. And if we go and look at the legs page, we've now got our discontinuity in between, so we'll go to HSMEC along the way. HSMEC, and we'll go to NHLWG, NHLWG, and MARAM, MARAM. We put that in and we go to the next page and we pull this back over the discontinuity. We have another discontinuity to deal with, so that's a gap between the standard approach route and the ILS essentially. So we execute that. We now have a complete flight plan. Next thing to do is the performance initialization. So we are going to go with the fuel we've got. We'll have way more than we need. We'll put in £1,000 on the reserves, cost index of 20. Flight level, we're going to fly 360, not 370. And we can execute those changes. And then we go to, it's saying insufficient fuel. That's interesting. Why is it saying that? Okay, let's go and have a look and see how much fuel this thinks it's got. Wrong menu, sorry. FS actions, fuel. We've got £24,000 of fuel. That's way more than we need. So let's just check then this flight plan and make sure it does make sense. So we'll go into plan mode and we're going to step through the flight plan. So we'll just turn the range up a bit on this. And step, 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 step. We have a miskeying. MARAM is obviously incorrect. So this waypoint MARAM is wrong. Delete. I'm not quite sure why it didn't ask us about it. Okay, so we will delete. We'll clear the message. We've pressed delete. We'll delete MARAM from the flight plan. Go next page and pull black back over the top of the discontinuity and execute that. And that's looking an awful lot better. Okay, so if we look on the progress page, yeah, suddenly we have an hour flight instead of several thousand miles into the middle of nowhere to an incorrect waypoint. Okay, so we will come back to the map display here. So we've checked for discontinuities. Let's just go and make sure. We haven't done all the performance initialization yet. So N1 limit is fine. Takeoff 5 degrees flaps. We'll transfer across the V speeds and the rotate speeds. We will calculate centre of gravity, which gives us a trim of 5.99. So we will trim the elevators for 5.99. That can all stay as it is. So we're looking good. Okay, so that's the flight management computer programmed. Next we come up to the MCP, we turn the flight directors on. We are going to climb out immediately to our cruise altitude. We're not using ATC, we're not flying any complicated stars or anything like that. So we go straight out to 36,000 feet. We are going to do so as a level change. We're going to use LNAV en route. We are going to program our initial speed off the runway to 200 knots and then we will accelerate as soon as we have climbed out. and then we'll accelerate again, obviously at the at 10,000 feet. We're going to program the heading for the runway direction that we are using, runway 27, so we want 270 on the heading, just as a safeguard really. Same goes for the course. So we're going to spin these round to 270. Can you hold on to them? Yeah, that does it a little bit quicker actually. And same over here, 270. Whoops. Okay, so that's looking good. We will be using N1, but obviously we can't switch that on until we arm the auto throttle. Barometric pressure. So we're going to cheat. Oh, actually, let's do this properly so you get to see this happen. So the altitude obviously is calibrated based on the air pressure at the airport. So we are going to show information for Melbourne. And you will see here Q1019 is our QNH, and this is in inches at the moment. We're going to change it over to hectopascals, which we can do here. Oops. Or you can if you can click on it. Let's click on it again. There it goes. What was it again? 1019. So we'll spin this around. You can see the altitude changing. There we go. So now we have an accurate altitude above sea level. Okay, back overhead, yaw dampers to on, cabin pressure to cruise altitude. Oops, if I can hold the mouse onto it. I'm just looking at the live chat and just pausing for a moment. Defcon, hello, hello. William Kelly, hi, really appreciate your dedication to live streaming. Captain Ray, hello. Hello everybody. Yeah, it was quite late here and I thought, do I get involved in doing this because I'm going to be up till 1 o'clock if I do this, or do I go to bed? And I thought, oh, sod it. So here I am. Cabin pressure to cruise altitude. Okay, aft fuel pump to number 1 to on. We are going to start the auxiliary power unit. And the reason we need the APU is the compressed air for the engines. So we're waiting for the exhaust gas temperature from the APU to rise. It will come around to about 7, fall to about 4, and then the crossfeed light will come on. So give it a chance. There it goes. So while we're waiting for that, let's check what we need to do next. A bus transfer to the APU, funnily enough, and then the anti-collision lights to on, which is warning people on the ground we're about to start the engines. So we could do that now. Let them get out of the way. Caffeine to the rescue. Oh yes. I think I've already downed it. Yeah, I've got about a tiny bit left in my mug. Okay, so any moment now, there you go, bus transfer to the APU, which means we can get rid of the ground power now. So we'll go and do that straight away. So if we go to menu and FS Actions, Ground Services, and release the ground power, because we've just cross-fed across to the APU now. We're using the APU for power, but we haven't started the engines just yet. Just checking the checklist again. Anti-collision lights are already on. We've disconnected ground power. Oh, we need to remove the chocks. So obviously we're going to start the engines. So we put the parking brakes to on now, and we remove the chocks. And if we look outside, I'm not sure if we can see it from the window. Yeah, you will see the stairs move away, and the doors will be closed. So this is like a little truck with the stairs on, and it will reverse away from the aircraft. There he goes. See you again soon. Okay, how are we doing? Fuel pumps to on. We won't need the centre tanks, they haven't got any fuel in them. I'm just going to shut up air traffic control. So we are going to switch frequencies, which makes them go quiet so we can concentrate. we've removed the chocks, fuel pumps are on, APU bleed to on. So APU bleed is over here, so this provides the compressed air to the engines. We are now going to start the engines. So back inside the aircraft, we can get rid of the caution lights. Starter to ground, ignition on the right engine, N2 is coming up on engine number 2. When it gets to 20, we will throw the start lever for engine number 2, and there it goes. You will now see the N1 come up, the exhaust gas temperature rise on engine number 2, the fuel is flowing, N1 is coming up. It's all going rather well. So I turn the sound up so you can hear it. I'm just reading the live chat. I wonder if those truck drivers have to have special insurance. There we go. So engine number 1 is started, and we flick over ignition to engine. Did I say engine number 1 then? Engine number 2 started. Engine number 1 is spinning up now. So the compressed air is doing its job. When it gets to 20 on N2, we throw the lever. There we go. And we just wait for it to come up. So as soon as engine number 1 is up, we'll be able to transfer over to the engines and get rid of the APU. We're just waiting for the switch to flick back, which indicates that the engines are fired up. Okay, there we go. So crossfeed over to the engines now for power for the aircraft, and we can now turn off the APU. We can turn the packs to auto. We can turn the APU bleed off, and we can turn on the hydraulic pumps, and we can turn the taxi light to on. Okay, flaps go to takeoff position. We now need to go and taxi out to the runway. I am going to circle round on the spot here. So we'll do this from the outside view so you get something to watch. So we need to come off the parking brake first. That would be an idea, wouldn't it? Well, before we go anywhere, let's figure out where we're going to taxi. Let's go and have a look at Melbourne. So we need to get to runway 27. So we need to double back. If we just loop round, all the way round, that's the easiest way, isn't it? Just checking things are looking okay before we start moving. Yes, everything looks good. Okay, where does he think he's going? He's just queued up for runway 27. Maybe the taxiway goes that way, I can't see from here. Let's have a look. No, he's going a different direction. That was nice of him. Looks like we're going to get a clear runway. They're ground spoilers. They'll shut themselves down as soon as we start accelerating. I'm just reading the live chat. Someone's saying, why are your spoilers up? They automatically do that. Okay, we're lined up on the runway. So, position lights go to strobe instead of steady. Just reading through my final few checks. Okay, here we go. I'm going to use manual throttle. Whoa! Why are we getting a warning? Gear up, 15-degree climb out, auto throttle armed, N1 mode. It's not going to let me just yet, so let's get the autopilot on, N1 mode, and we're off to the races. Flaps up. Getting alarmingly slow, isn't it? It's not following the profile at all. It's probably adjusting as we speak. Let's keep an eye on it for a moment. Oh, we haven't gone for level change, that's why. Sorry, not following my own checklist. Nose is coming down. Aircraft is accelerating. That was funny, sorry about that. And now we're accelerating. Okay, so out to 250 knots. We're about to make a turn. So let's zoom in on this so we can see the turn coming. Let's have a look from outside. There's Melbourne International. There's the city of Melbourne in the background. There's the bay. We should be turning anytime soon. further to the turn than I thought. There we go. And we'll go into turn. So the place we are leaving, or just flying over, is Navan Park, Milton West. Apparently. Ooh, the sim, I thought I froze them for a moment. So this is a bit of a test this evening because I've rewired the USB devices on my machine, so everything's plugged into the motherboard. I'm going to see if we get any freezing. I think it may have been the culprit behind the sim freezing. I'm not sure. We will find out. Okay, we've gone through 10,000 feet now, so we can accelerate out to 320 now. Climbing towards. I'm not sure what the transition altitude is. I haven't got a chart for Melbourne. Does anybody in the live chat know what the transition altitude is for Melbourne? Or for Australia? Is it a blanket transition altitude? Should we find out? Should we go and Google it? No, that's Austria. No, that doesn't help us. That doesn't tell us either. Why do they make these things so difficult? Will SkyVector tell us the transition altitude somewhere? No. Wonderful. Anyway, let's get the FMC onto progress mode this side and legs page this side. If you can click on it. Oh, I have to go to FMC first, then legs. There we go. And we're just coming up through. I'm going to switch now to standard. I don't know what the transition altitude is in Australia, so I apologise if that was wrong, but we're not using ATC, so we've got nobody to ask. Turn the plane down a bit. It's a noisy so-and-so, isn't it? Just reading the live stream. Australians don't have any airports. They were all destroyed during the filming of Mad Max. Very good. The problem is the sim links go to registry. Oh, the sim links go to the registry and change 2 to 4. Change what in the registry from 2 to 4? Okay, how are we doing? Just coming up through 20,000 feet. That's our target airspeed. Lateral navigation. basically and cruise now all the way to Adelaide. So if we have a look at the map, we can see where we are along the route. So I'm on the Southeast Asia server. If anybody has flight sim here, I'm just reading the live stream again. Oh, F4. Yeah, right. I should warn you all, I'm a software developer in the daytime. I know what most of the Windows shortcut keys do. I think the best one I ever heard was somebody listened very patiently to someone describing what was wrong with their computer. And then they said, okay, I think I figured out what you need to do. You need to get your computer, pull all the wires out of the back of it, put it back in the box, and take it back to the shop. Because you're too stupid to own one. Oh dear. Well, I'm just reading the live stream again. 10,000 feet is the accepted, or at least in Europe, it's 10,000 feet before you're allowed to accelerate past 250 knots in a civil aviation aircraft. And obviously on descent you slow down to 250 as you come through 10,000 as well. The other numbers that the whole of the US is 18,000 feet for the transition altitude when you go over to standard barometric pressure. But across Europe it can be all over the place. It can be as low as 3,000 feet in places. The other number to think about is, you'll see it do it automatically in the Boeing. The indicated airspeed will switch over to Mach number somewhere between 25 and 28,000 feet. So it will do it very soon. But again, I've not read up on the exact reasoning of when it does it. What program am I using for the callouts? I'm not. That was just this aircraft. This is the PMDG 737-700. And you get the co-pilot calling things out. You can actually configure what he calls out. If we look in the FMC, if you go to menu and PMDG setup, is it? And aircraft, I'm not sure where it is. There's like pages and pages of stuff. Yeah, here we go, look. Call 2500, 1500, blah blah blah. Minimums, call outs. So you can configure what he calls out, or what the cockpit calls out as well. But there's tons of stuff you can configure in it. Anyway, back on the progress page. What program am I using to get airport information? It is Little Navmap. It's free. It connects to the simulator, and you can load the database of scenery, or all of the nav data from the scenery directly into it. It works for X-Plane as well, but you can you load scenery library, and then it gives you all of your waypoints, the whole bit. So it knows the SIDs and stars. It loads them all from the simulator. Sorry. So that's why you can see here it's got the details on the flight plan and even the restrictions for the SID and the star. And it can also do a elevation plot of your flight, so you can see I'm ahead of schedule on the climb out, because we had that slightly crazy climb rate to begin with. What you can't see easily here because of the scale is it actually maps the ground as well. So if you're in a mountainous area, that comes in really useful when you're at low altitude. So if you're plotting your approach. Yeah, little nav map is absolutely fantastic. Something I should probably show you guys. I've been playing around learning the ins and outs of the flight management computer the last few weeks. So you can see we're 10 miles from Nevis at the moment. So let's go and look for a waypoint. There's one here, SWLED. So actually let's do it from this one, SWLEE. I'm going to make a waypoint on our track that's alongside that one. Okay? So SWLEE. Watch this. So we go into fixes, and it was SWLEE. SWLEE. We put that in as a fix, we say a beam, and it calculates us this position. Now if we go back into the legs page now, and we are approaching Nevis, so after Nevis we want this to happen, so we'll put it in, close up the discontinuity, and execute, and look what it's done. Based on that waypoint, it's made a new one on our route automatically, basically by calculating the vector from there to the closest point on our route. So that was a beam waypoint. How cool is that? So I'm going to take it back out because I don't actually want it there. So we'll delete SWL01 and close it back up and execute that, and it's now gone. The fix is still being highlighted, but the waypoint's been removed. So we can go back to the fix page and we can delete the fix, and that vanishes off the flight plan as well. Just catching up with the live stream. Have I not used the Bredoc 3D planes? Yeah, they're garbage, aren't they? The PMDG 737 is coming out on the Xbox eventually. I think they just want to do some more testing of it before they release it for the Xbox, because obviously the route to getting things into the Flight Sim store is quite long-winded, so they don't want to be in a situation where they need to re-release it. They want to make sure it's absolutely solid first. But yeah, so while we're flying along, we've got ages to do this. Let's go and have a look at what little navmap can do then. So when you look at anything on the map, so say we go and pick this airfield here, we can right click on it and we can show information for an airfield, and you'll get here everything about it. So there's an overview page obviously, which gives you the METAR information. So we can see here, look, it's winds are 290 degrees, 13 knots at the moment. We've got clouds scattered at 3,200 feet and scattered at 4,700 feet. QNH is 1019, so you also get all of the runway details, all of the comm radio frequencies, any procedures. There aren't any obviously at that one, but if we did it for a bigger airport, even if you hover over an airport, it will tell you it all. It will give you a summary. But obviously we can do the same thing and show information for Melbourne, and it gives you obviously the summary, but also you get all the procedures, like all of them. If you click on one, oh no, it doesn't do it, but you can, when you're planning a route, you can superimpose the procedures. So if we do that over here, so we're coming into Adelaide on the ILS, but if say we didn't want to, we can show the arrival procedures for Adelaide, for example, and we can say, we can see what they look like. So we can superimpose them onto the map. So we can flick through the stars, for example, for the different runways and see them. And we could just go and choose one, and it will rewire our routes, and then we just need to go and program it into the FMC. Obviously we're not going to do that today, so we'll just leave that as it is. The other thing that little nav map can do, I've got several videos on it on my YouTube channel if you want to go and have a read on it, you know, or a watch of me actually showing you around it properly. It can do the performance calculations. Now, I haven't actually got a performance file for this aircraft yet, so I'm using a 737 MAX at the moment, which is obviously wrong. But you can do a fuel report as well. So based on what it knows of the aircraft, you get your fuel burn down rate, and it calculates everything, you know, what you're going to need for the trip. So you can fuel it up accurately ahead of the journey. I'm just trying to think what else it can do. It can do tons of things. You can obviously switch things on and off on the map. And you can change the background map. I've got an add-on for it that gives me Google Terrain View, but it's got OpenStreetMap and things like that as well. If I put it back on Google Terrain View, obviously we could have satellite view if we really wanted to as well. I guess for VFR satellite becomes useful, but I actually like the terrain view because it's easy to read. What else? There we go, we've got to our cruise altitude. But to be honest, the 737 is so fully featured. Once you've figured your route out, you don't really need to look at little nav map anymore. Let's go back to the progress page. So we're on track to get to Adelaide at 10 minutes past 0 hour on Zulu time. So in about 40 minutes time. Yeah, the Captain Sim and Braddock, they're cheap and cheerful and they kind of work, but they're not a patch on the PMDG, but you pay for what you get. I mean, this one cost, what was it? £60, I think, something like that. Which would be what, 100 Australian dollars maybe, 90 Australian dollars, something like that. On the clock, there's a tiny button on the top left with an up and down click spot. Yeah. Yeah, it's a chronograph, yeah. The reason it's there, if you weren't aware, is for flying SIDS, for flying holds. But then the FMC can do it anyway. Because when you fly a standard hold, you fly a direction for a minute or however many minutes you've been told for the parameters of the hold, and then you fly a racetrack orbit. So yeah, it's a chronograph is really useful for flying holds. See how it's green? Oh, you can change the colour. Yeah, I see. There's another hidden feature. You'll notice I've got the head-up display. Only some of the newer 737s had that, but in the FMC you can program that in to get the head-up display. But if you're in the normal cockpit view, to save having to look up here to bring the head-up display down, which works really well by the way. It's a proper collimated one as well, as you can see. You can just click over here. There's like a hidden click spot over here. But I don't mind actually clicking the proper lever for it. And there's a control panel for what's being presented on the head-up display over here. I haven't read up too much on this yet, so... Oh, we didn't turn on TCAS, did we? Traffic Collision Avoidance System. Completely forgot. Didn't read my own notes again. Okay. It's looking good so far though. So let's go and get rid of the... I really don't like flying with a HUD. Don't need it. It's a bit of a... It's nice that it's there. It's a complete waste of time. Does using Little Nav Map make SimBrief integration into the BAE 146 obsolete? Or can both be used? Yeah, you can use both. It won't hurt it. You can load your SimBrief files into here, I think, as well. So if we go and look up Open Flight Plan, and actually let's save this one first, just in case it has a fit. Save flight plan, save file, Open Flight Plan. I just want to see what the file types are. Oh no, is it RTE or something? Yeah, so maybe it can't load them directly. But you can save out of SimBrief in lots of formats, can't you? So just take it out of SimBrief as a PLN and load it in. The other trick you can do with Little Nav Map is you can do a new flight plan from a route description. So if I copy the one we've got and we open Notepad, for example, and you get this format where it looks like this, and you can get that out of SimBrief. You've probably seen it in SimBrief. So you can then just go in here and do new one from a route description and paste it in and read it, and it will turn it into the Little Nav Map route for you. So it really is a Swiss Army knife. Okay, so We Love Cricket's just earned a ban for swearing. So bye bye. Hide the user from the channel. I've got absolute zero tolerance on people being or using language that I don't want on my channel. I have enough trouble with blooming spam robots without people arguing with each other. Okay, we're actually getting closer, aren't we? We're getting close to top of descent already, which we can see accurately in here. Obviously I've got the wrong performance data in Little Nav Map, so we need to go and switch the chronograph off. There we go. We can reset it up here, hopefully. Ooh, that's interesting. Hold, reset, there we go. Anyway. So top of descent in about 20 miles. Let's zoom out and we can see the rest of the route is coming up. We will worry about the screen on the other side when we get a bit closer. So how are we doing? Not far to go at all. Yeah, it's doing the time dilation, isn't it? It's actually quite useful for a boring part in the middle of the flight. You can program that into this aircraft understands all of that. You can configure it all in, I think it's in FS Actions, Auto Cruise, is it in? Yeah, so you can configure a sim rate increase, so when it gets to cruise it will speed itself up, which is quite interesting. Yeah, I've just pulled it back down to normal speed, so we're back on normal time. Okay. Just a bit of a wait now, isn't it, until we start descending. It's complaining it has got fuel in the centre tank, and obviously the config doesn't support that, so we could turn the centre fuel tanks on and that warning will go away. So fuel pumps, not tanks. So we were busy emptying the wings and leaving the fuel in the centre, because we've massively overloaded the fuel for this flight, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that's useful I could show you along the way while we're just doing this leg. Oh yeah, we could actually, I guess. If we go and... Maran was the one we knew wasn't there, wasn't it? SALW. Let's try some stuff out. So if we go to SALW direct, so if we go back to the legs page and insert it in front of the next waypoint, so then the aircraft will do a direct to SALW, so it's going to turn right. The only reason I'm doing this is so I can show you another trick. So we've just inserted Sandalwood into our flight plan, but from where we were. So let's put a position in here so it's still fairly representative of what's going on. So what we're going to do is add another waypoint after SALW, a custom waypoint, and we can do it directly into the flight management computer. So from SALW, we maybe want to fly at 300 degrees for, what's this, so 20 miles? So we'll say 300 degrees, so SALW 300 slash 20 miles. And we put it in after, and you can see it's rendering it there. And then we can close the gap and execute that. So we've actually now got, if we zoom in on this a bit, that's our new waypoint we've just invented at 300 degrees from SALW, 20 miles. So to get that on here, we would have to go and do a measure distance. So we've said 300 degrees, 20 miles. So we're kind of doing that. So if we were then to say add position, we've kind of done that in the FMC's head, which is what you can see here. You mentioned a book by one of the Monty Python writers, I think, a while back, but can't remember her name. She's not one of the writers, she was one of the actresses. It's Miriam Margolyes. She was in... she was at Cambridge at the same time as the guys that became Monty Python. And she was in Cambridge Footlights with them. And yeah, she wrote a book that came out last Christmas, or shortly before last Christmas. That was a real, well, not a shock, but it kind of blew the lid off a lot of their behaviour. And yeah, it turns out they're not as nice as you might imagine, as you know, is often the way. Yeah, Miriam Margolyes, you'll have seen her as Professor Sprout in Harry Potter, in the Harry Potter movies. She's been in lots of things. She was in many Blackadder episodes over the years. She's been in tons of stuff, lots and lots of movies. I think the book is called This Much Is True. So obviously we've thrown our schedule out of the window now because we are flying a custom route, and obviously, and because we did some time dilation along the way, the clock is out from the real one now, but we can get an estimate here. So based on it being 23:51 game time at the moment, we can see we're going to arrive in about 23 minutes. So we should probably be descending by now, shouldn't we? Let's have a look at the plan. Oops, wrong way. There's top of descent. Yeah, so I should be below 9,000 in a not very long time, so let's go and expedite that. So we're going to do a flight level change immediately and go for 8,500 feet. We're going to come down like a rocket. Well, we'll come down to 10,000 feet actually, because then we'll need to lose some speed. I'm going to check out the air brakes and drop like a stone. Yeah, Miriam Margolis' book is very, very good. She's a very, very straight talker, and she doesn't pull any punches. Let's put it that way. Let's see where we are on our route. So we're coming down at 5,000 feet a minute. So we're using the air brakes to descend rather rapidly because we flew straight through top of descent. We can see on the plan here though we don't actually need to be coming down at this rate. Should we go back to vertical speed mode? And we'll go to speed mode here. Let's switch this back to indicated, and we can use the vertical speed with the estimate here to come down at a sensible rate. We'll get rid of the I'm just watching the indicated airspeed to see if the throttles are on idle. We want to be slowly bleeding off speed. This is looking about right now. Although this is only going to get us to 10,000, isn't it? Yeah, we're going to have to go steeper than that. So let's go back to flight level change and let it look after the speed. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit on our route. So rate of descent is increasing again. Or increasing, I should say. Yeah, we are dropping like a stone again. Another way of dropping even faster would be to level out at this altitude, slow right down, throw the flaps out, and then descend. Which is perfectly doable, you know, it won't damage the aircraft, and then you can come down at 6,000 feet a minute. Dr. Beavis, I just randomly turned some lights off and on. I have no idea of the actual procedure. While we're descending, I could go through that with you if you want. So you've got your position lights, which should be on strobe while you're flying You've got the anti-collision lights, which should be on regardless, so as soon as you're going to start the engines on the ground, you usually turn it on just to light the airplane up. On the ground you would have the position lights on steady as soon as you have power to the aircraft, just to alert people around the aircraft that, you know, there are people in it working. For landing, yeah, you turn the landing lights on. We've got the taxi light on still, I should have taken that off. You've got runway turn-off lights. You only need them in, you know, difficult visual conditions. But there's not much to the lights really. While you're flying, you just have the position lights on strobe and the anti-collision lights on, and that's it. So we're still coming down. We're not coming down very quickly. I don't know if we're going to make it in time, you know. Might have to put ourselves into a hold somewhere. Let's have a look at the rest of the route. We'll probably be okay. I just don't. We're not going to have much time to decelerate. Let's try and decelerate now and see if it will have it at all. Yeah, because look, because we're going to need to level out to do that. It's not going to happen. It's doing it now, which is not ideal. It's leveled out. But probably better to do it now than later, to be honest. Yeah, you can turn the landing lights on from 10,000 feet. It doesn't really matter. We have aircraft flying over our house that are on the approach path to Heathrow, and they're probably at 7,000–8,000 feet as they come over us, and they've often got them on. You see them lighting the clouds up as they go past. They look like giant headlights. So we're going to be a little bit late coming through the altitude for this part of the approach, but we'll catch it back up later. It's fine. So let's zoom in so we get to see some more detail. If we put data on, we get to see more, so we'll see all the restrictions. So below 9,000 feet, above 5,000, and then obviously you're following in on the ILS. We haven't tuned the ILS in. We ought to go and do that. So we want 109.70, 222 degrees on the course. So 109.70. Transfer to active. 109.70. Transfer to active. And what was the course? It was 222 degrees. So course is here. 222 degrees, and over the other side 222 degrees. We are ready for landing. Yeah, I'm just reading the live chat. If you put it in VNAV mode, it will fly the altitudes. I'm not got it in VNAV mode though. It gives me something to do. That's the only reason I fly it in the way I do. So actually we need to get below, we're at the right speed now, so we can get below 9,000, so we'll go straight for 8,000. And we are still in level change, so it will continue on down. We need to be above 5,000 at the next one, so if we go for 6,000 straight away. And we can start to come off the air brake, which will extend out the distance. But not terrifically so. That's interesting. Oh, there it goes, look. So once the aircraft stabilises, it's actually taking longer to get to the target altitude, but it's stabilising out. Actually, that's good. We haven't even looked out the window at all, have we? So So we should see in the distance here the outside of the city appearing, or the outskirts of the city of Adelaide. We're just coming in behind some other traffic actually. We're directly behind another plane on the same approach. So let's go and turn the landing lights on. So we light him up from behind as we approach. We've got TCAS on, haven't we? Let's go and turn on traffic, and we should see him, hopefully. Let's reduce the range on this a bit. Yeah, we can see him, look, there he is. Or is it? No, it isn't, sorry, no, that's the waypoint. I was hoping we might see him on the view. Okay, so we need to sort out what we're doing. So above 5,000 at Kers, then above 3,270 at Mopri. So we'll go for 3,300 once we get to Kers. If we go to vertical speed mode, we can judge it ourselves, can't we? So we want to go for 3,000 feet. What was it? 2270. Let's get the speed down. Air brakes out to get the speed off. So first stage of flaps are out. Just slow down a bit more and we'll get the gear down. I'm just looking at live chat. I have no idea when the electronic flight book, whatever it's called, the tablet, will be added. So let's change this over to... Oh, is the sim just frozen? Okay, so the USB theory's just gone out the window. The sim has frozen. Give it a few seconds. There it comes. It's just woken back up. So we are going to go to approach mode now. And we'll put the gear down. And we'll go for more flaps. And air brakes off. Don't need them anymore. Is the deceleration going to beat the flaps getting there, or are we going to get an overspeed warning? We've just avoided an overspeed warning. So let's go for 140 knots. So we go and change. Oh, you can see the airfield coming now on the other display. We're about to make the final turn. Descending through 4,000 feet. We've already configured. Oh, we didn't come off the. Oh, what's the QNH? Show information. Way behind the curve here, aren't I? Overview. QNH at the destination 1025, 1013. There we go. And it's missed the glide slope. Okay, I have control. Just need to look down a second to switch that annoying buzzer off. No idea why we missed the glide slope. It's a bit of an odd one. So we're just going to climb out a little bit. Here comes the glide slope again. Should we try that again? So approach mode is still on. No, I'll just fly it in there. Fly it in myself, give me something to do. Let's go and climb up onto the glide slope. So we have got 12 miles to go to run. Slightly off to the right. Headwind of 15 knots at the moment. Not to say we'll have that headwind all the way in. 2,500 feet. Slow down a bit. I mean, we could go and switch the autopilot back on approach mode and it would just pick up at this point because we're below the glide slope, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to fly it in. There's no real point. Going quite fast so we can get there a bit more quickly. Just coming off the throttle a bit. We're getting low again. Okay, let's get back on the glide slope. And we're off to the right again. Six miles to run. That's the outer marker lights we can hear. Somebody on the runway, isn't there? Is that a van or another aircraft?
300.
I think it's another aircraft taking off.
200. 100. 50.
Flight slow.
20. 10.
I wonder where the buildings are here. I haven't looked at a map at all. Are they up the other end? I think they might be. Seems to be some aircraft parked up there. Probably going to the service hangars, aren't they? Not to the terminals. Should we have a look on the map? Oh no, I'm going the right way. Or I think I am. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be the terminals, isn't it? So across the runway, turn right, and then follow around to the left. You just can't see them from here. They're behind this building over here. I massively prefer landing the aircraft myself rather than letting the autopilot do it. For the same reason I actually still love flying GA aeroplanes and just, you know, flying stick and rudder. Hurrah, terminal. I love that they've got the sound of the front wheel going over the cat's eyes. Yep, we ought to turn the landing lights off, didn't we? Otherwise we'll end up blinding everybody. Surprise the guy in the van. Okay. So what you can do when you land is you can, rather than messing around with the APU, because we could have turned the APU on the way back, we can go into FS Actions, Ground Services, put the chocks in please, they've done that. So request ground power, we transfer to ground power and then we shut the engines down. And from then on we can go and shut the aircraft down, which isn't tremendously difficult, we're just undoing everything we've done. So Ground power's connecting, it's connected, so at that point you can switch on the ground power. And to close the engines, all you need to do is remove the starter levers and the engines will spool down. So then overhead we can start turning things off. So packs to off. We didn't use the seatbelt sign at all, did we? Oh well. And leave the bus transfer switches alone. All the fuel pumps go to off. Lights go off on the aircraft. The hydraulic pumps all go to off. The window heats go back to off. The probe heat goes back to off. The oil damper goes back to off. And overhead, oh sorry, the emergency lights are not armed anymore. The battery can go to off. And the IRS can go to off. We're just switching everything off basically. Okay, and then obviously as soon as we pull the ground power, well, we could put the battery back on for the moment. Then as soon as we pull the ground power, can we release the ground power off here? Yeah, we can. And then cold and dark. Whoops, the switch lifts it on, I forgot that. There you go, cold and dark, and that will lose power after a few seconds. And we're good to go. So that's pretty much it. We haven't summoned the cart or anything, which you can do via the FMC as well. And you can obviously you can open the doors. So should we have a play with some of that stuff? See how many things we can summon to the aeroplane. So if we go menu and FS actions and ground maintenance. So we'll go doors, open, 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 open. Air stair. Oh, it's got an inhibitor. Okay, so then ground maintenance. We want that, 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 that. We'll see how many things we can get. Cool brakes, replace tyres, reconnect, service. So let's see what's happening outside now. So all of the doors are opened, which is pretty cool. Have we got any service vehicles coming yet? They should be arriving. Menu. FS actions, ground services, air conditioning unit request, next page, portable water request, lavatory request, maintenance van request, fuel truck request, next page, stairs request, we don't want air stairs, passenger bus request, cabin cleaning request. It's good, isn't it? Boarding, because you can do simulate boarding and stuff as well. Next page, fuel forward loader request, forward carts request, aft loader request, aft carts request. And there you go, and have a look outside. And yeah, here we go. Everybody's arriving. When is the next stream? I haven't got a clue when the next stream is. I usually just do them when I have time. Oh, sorry, Jasper, you've missed out on the flight. We've just finished, so we're just watching all of the hilarity going on outside with all of the ground services, and still waiting for ladders to arrive. Which hopefully, here comes the sandwich van, and I think this might be, oh, that maybe that was the toilet van. Oh, that's a crappy job, isn't it? And here comes the passenger bus to come and take everybody. So cabin services have just arrived, and I have no idea what these guys are up to, plugging stuff in. And here comes the cargo. Presumably he'll undo that door, because I haven't undone it. Or is he just going to magically transport things through the wall? Ooh, very posh bus. And here comes the second cargo truck. Oh no, they've opened now. So they opened for the cargo. You can let the passengers off yet, or are they going to make them walk onto the wings? Here comes the luggage. Oh no! Disaster! Everybody's suitcases have just been splashed across the tarmac by the fuel truck, which appears to be driven by Mad Max. And now he's going to take out the wing with the... Oh no, he's not. It's a very swish bus, isn't it? Should we go on to drone mode? Go and have a closer look at some of these things, see if they're modelled inside. No. Oh, that's a shame. I wonder if we can go inside the... No. We can go in here though. I have no idea where the stairs have got to. They're obviously running late. There's a Boeing 247 parked around the corner. I've got one of those, it's fantastic fun to fly. Starting it is probably the most fun. Oh, there's another one. So when it's here as an AI model, oh, it's still the whole thing. That's impressive. And now it's stopped drawing the terminal correctly. That's a bit infuriating. Okay, well I'm going to leave it there for today. We had our fun. We flew from Melbourne to Adelaide. I'll do some more videos soon. I have no idea how popular these live streams are, because, you know, how much interest is there really? And I guess if I'm doing an interesting kind of flight, what sort of flights would people like to see? Yeah, I'm not sure, Jasper, why the stairs haven't arrived. I asked for everything, and no stairs turned up. I guess we could do some dangerous approaches. There's one of the favourites that I messed up the other week was the LaGuardia approach. But since then I've configured the controllers properly, so I can actually control the airplane now. I'd like to see a long haul flight. We could go into on about the cities. We could go into London City, I guess. Maybe fly the 146 into London City on the steep approach. Oh, Nepal. Yeah, there's several dangerous ones. Lukla is in Nepal, isn't it? There's some really good ones actually with offset ILSs. One of them is in Italy. It's got a really offset ILS where you have to turn through like 40 degrees right in front of the runway. There's another one up on the west coast of Canada. I've forgotten the name of it. Yeah, Tenzing Hillary Airport is Lukla. Anyway, I'm going to call it an evening, and I'll see you all again soon. And hope you enjoyed the live stream. If you go and check out the channel, please go and click on like on a few videos and subscribe. And if you click the bell icon apparently at the top corner of YouTube, it tells you when I've released something. So Fingers crossed it works. Right, I'll see you all again soon. Take care, everybody.